Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I am joined by FPL Salah to preview Game Week 3. This is crunch time, 2 free transfers. We're going to see what Abdul is going to do. First of all, Abdul, good to have you back on the channel. A green arrow last week. Looking pretty solid.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Good to be back. Yeah, I got 52 points last week, which is, a pretty solid score. I'm up to about 1.2 million now, which, at this stage of the season is fine. Rank is pretty much irrelevant at this, in Game Week 2. But I think looking at everybody else, I think I'm kind of, within the pack at the moment. So yeah, looking forward to using one of my 2 free transfers this week.
Ooh, okay. So not entirely sure what you're going to do at this stage of the video. Yeah, a pretty solid start there. You've got to say decent start. You can't be too disappointed with being at the 1 million rank at this stage of the season. Team looking pretty set up as well. Going to be interesting to see what transfers you were thinking of making. You say you're thinking of one there. Jackson already in place, a player that I'm targeting in my team, for example, with the fixtures coming up. You do, though, have James on the bench, obviously injured. So I'm going to get your thoughts on what you're going to do with him, perhaps, in a few minutes. But first of all, we're going to look at the AI recommended transfers for your team and then compare how they are to your own preconceptions and your ideas that you have already. So let's jump into them. Okay, so here they are. Abdul, I'm not showing you these on purpose, but I'm showing the viewers. So we got to remember these. And when we come to your transfer thoughts later on in the video, we'll see how similar your ideas are to this. I will say I didn't expect this. I'll give you a little insight. They're aggressive moves. It's 2 recommended transfers and they're both, in my opinion, pretty aggressive, and I'm not sure if you have these in mind at all, but food for thought nonetheless. Remember these guys, we're going to come back to them a little bit later, but before we talk about Abdul's team going forward and his tips and advice for the upcoming game week, if you would like to see your own personalized AI recommended transfers for your team, the link to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub is down below. It's still 50% off at the time of recording, and as you can see on screen, win your FPL mini league or get your money back. That deal is still ongoing. So yeah, have a look at your own personalized recommended transfers. All right, Abdul, let's get into your team for the upcoming game week. Okay, mate, so here is the team for Game Week 3. First of all, just chat to me. What are you initially thinking? The team looks pretty good. Game week rating of 97%. Pretty solid. Yeah. But yeah, obviously you have some ideas of what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, the team looks absolutely phenomenal, Jack. I mean, they've got 10 home fixtures and then you've got Haaland away at Sheffield United is only one. But then, yeah, I mean, on paper, that looks like, it should be, a triple-digit score. Doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, really happy with the team. But yeah, James is injured. And at the moment, I'm thinking, obviously, taking James out. Baldock's a doubt as well, but he's a 4 million defender. He's not really a kind of big priority at this time. But I've got a few replacements in mind for James. So one of them is Colwill for Chelsea. So we'll double up. That means we'll be doing a double up with Chilwell. Udogie for Spurs, Diaz for City, and also I was looking at Rico Henry or Pinnock from Brentford as well. So the reason I've gone for those is that they actually rotate quite well with the current defence I've got. So in the kind of difficult weeks like Game Week 5, like for example, Udogie's got Sheffield United at home in Brighton. So when Estupiñán's got Man United away, and then that same week Chelsea got Bournemouth away. So the weeks in which I've got difficult fixtures for my 3 defenders, those players that I mentioned kind of fill in well for those weeks. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment for the James replacement.
Okay, so looking to get rid of him this game week then. The question I think then becomes, would you start the player necessarily that you're bringing in over a Saliba? For example, if you do go for Colwill, that's a very, very strong fixture, but so is Saliba's. What would you do there?
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know yet, but I think if I was to go for Colwill, I think I would still start Saliba because I just think he is, he is the more nailed. I think Colwell's kind of is nailed to start anyway, but Saliba's that kind of player who's with no 100%, he is going to start from what we've seen the first 2 game weeks anyway. If I bought in Udogie, that would be a tough one. Maybe not. Maybe I'd just start Saliba over him as well. And Diaz, I think if I got a City player in, without a doubt, he would start over Saliba. So yeah, it just depends at the moment. I mean, the player I'm bringing in this week is not really that important for this week because I've got the adequate backup there. I've got the players there. It's more for the future game weeks. As I said, Game Week 5, Game Week 8, where I've got difficult fixtures from other defenders. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. And honestly, look at the rest of my team. I really cannot see another place where I could use a second free transfer. I'm really happy with the team this week. I could possibly move out my United players next game week, but there's no way I'm moving them away with Nottingham Forest at home this week.
Okay, so that I guess is your initial your plan for your transfer this week. Now you've taken one price drop already on James.
I have, yeah.
Were you tempted to do that earlier, or you think price changes aren't that important? I mean, to be
Not
fair,
at
with the
all.
pool of players we have now,
Yeah.
you can't really spend that much money.
Honestly, Jack, like I didn't even think about it, because I mean, in previous seasons, I don't really look at team value that much anyway. Like, I would not be making a transfer, in early in the week, but especially this season where, like, the money is just, everywhere. I mean, I think every kind of FPL manager I've seen this season has got money in the bank. Or totally stacked team. So yeah, money is really not important, in most seasons, but this season especially not. So yeah, I'm gonna wait until the pressers are all done. We've already seen, like, last week, Reece James was injured actually midweek during training, and I think there's been news of Enciso being it's only a rumor at the moment, but Enciso being injured at training today as well. So I mean, there's really no excuse for making early transfers.
It's one of those, like, at the start of the season, you don't want to see that 0.1 price drop in your team value, because obviously when everyone's at 0.5 intervals, it does make it harder to move between players. But thinking more macro long term, what is 0.1, especially in a season like this, when with Kane leaving and there being no other real premiums apart from Salah, who we're not jumping on right now. It's quite hard to spend the money even if you tried.
Yeah, and Salah might even go to Saudi on another note. There's been links there as well. If Salah goes to Saudi, then honestly, this season is just, like, from an FPL point of view, it's just broke. Seriously,
it would be broken. It would be just.
I would
pick the best players and rotate them week on week, roughly.
Yeah.
Which would be strange. I mean, not that fun, to be honest, but there we go. That is the nature of the game at the moment. The pricing's been generous, and there are just quite a dearth of premiums in the league in general. So I'll now reveal to you what the AI recommended you to do. And I mentioned it was very aggressive. James wasn't a transfer out, which surprised me. I think if we have in mind the fact that the AI is always looking to maximize points over the next few weeks. I'm not saying you're not, but I think you're thinking perhaps a little bit more long-term and rotation, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What the AI was saying was to remove both of your Arsenal midfielders.
Wow.
It's strong. Now, Saka is going out for Odegaard. I think we need to talk about Saka first of all, and the fact that now he may not be on penalties. Yeah. What do you think there? Saka out for Odegaard seems like a very sideways move, but with 2 frees and your team, as I mentioned, is really well set up.
Yeah.
Even with benching James perhaps for one more game week, what do you think about just that comparison between those 2 players?
See what? I was livid when Odegaard took that penalty. I don't know what was going on, but after the match, Mikel Arteta said that he wasn't aware of that, and the players decided between themselves. And Odegaard even said that he was practicing them in training and he was scoring them all, and he just asked Saka on the day, and Saka said, yeah, he gave him it. So to me, that kind of tells me that Odegaard may not be the permanent taker. Like, it could still be Saka. I mean, it could be they mix it up. So just from that kind of interview from after the game, that would have kind of put me off that transfer of doing Saka to Odegaard. And obviously, you want the penalty taker from that, Arsenal midfield, and that's why a lot of us went Saka. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that he's going to be the new penalty taker permanently.
It's interesting because that just changed there has shifted Odegaard up in predicted points over the next 4. Saka on 20s, that's come down. Odegaard up to 23.
I think the AI tool is assuming that Odegaard's on penalties now because he took it, so which is fair enough. But I think this is where we kind of bring our own kind of human thinking into it, and possibly try and beat the robot.
Now the next move was Martinelli out. A player that, I don't know, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. I don't think he's looked phenomenal. I think we would have expected more. Obviously a plum fixture at home to Fulham, but the midfielder that it's suggesting for you to go for has more predictor points here. It's Foden of City with 2 unbelievable fixtures coming up. It's aggressive, but any consideration to getting Foden in your team this week?
No, but that is a good move. I like that move better than the Odegaard one because Foden is, KDB's out. Pep's played him both in that number 10 role, and he's also played him on the right as well. So I think him and Alvarez are going to get good on in the team. But yeah, I just wouldn't take. I think that's quite a sideways move actually. And it's not really, I mean, say for example, I had James was fit and I had 2 free transfers, there's nothing else to do. I would probably be a bit tempted by that move. And because I've got other fires to kind of put out at the moment, not really tempted by that move. But Foden is a really good pick. I think he can do really well over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But then if you look at my midfield, Jack, like, those players could do well as well. Yeah. There's just so much kind of competition there. So yeah, he's a good option, but yeah, not for me this week.
Obviously, James is the issue in your team. I think, as I mentioned before, because you wouldn't necessarily be starting the player that you're bringing in for him. I mean, I think both iterations of transfers you mentioned, all possible replacements. You were saying you would still start Saliba. I think that's the reason why the AI is thinking, well, if you're not going to start anyone, if there's no one there that would get into your first 11 anyway, why not try and maximize the points in that first 11? But down the road, it's much safer. I would agree to get rid of James right now, because that is a clear fire that you have. Also, with Bulldog's injury, it means that, any defensive substitution or injury during the week or that we don't hear about, perhaps you have a sub in place anyway for the rest of your team.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That pretty much leaves me bare on the bench if I don't take James out.
Yeah. Archer, though, looking good now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't know if he'll be moved for game week 2 though, but yeah, I think that's what we were banking on before the season. We were talking about that, weren't we? That he was going to go to Sheffield United. So yeah, I'm really happy that move's gone through, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't go for him because I thought, okay, I'm not just going to put a player in just because of a rumor, and I thought there might be a price drop there. But now looking at it, he's definitely the one to get in. Interestingly, say he starts for Sheffield this week. I mean, the transfer isn't official yet, but say he starts, scores, and FPL still hasn't updated it. Say the transfer happens, very late on in the day, just whatever, close to him playing. Would he get the points in the Villa shirt? Because I'm not sure how I'd feel about that.
No, I mean, I think if he's moved, then if he's moved to Sheffield United, I think FPL would change it definitely before the deadline.
I'd hope so. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes it takes him a bit of time, and then obviously he'd still get the points. But anyway, not a very relevant point. Let's talk about United midfielders, because look, it's a great fixture, isn't it? On paper, but they've been poor. Rashford, especially, in my opinion, I just don't think he's played very well. I think Fernandes has been good. I think he's been unlucky. And, even numbers aside, I think he should have been awarded a penalty last game, and that would have changed everything, had that clear chance. But Rashford, I just don't, in that number 9 position, I'm just not convinced at all.
He's never been better at 9 than he has on the wing. He's always been better there. But yeah, I think at the moment United haven't got a choice really. I think with Højlund and injured, and Martial was injured, but I think he came on from the bench in the last game, so he's kind of forced to play him there. He might play Sancho there at number 9 next game. I thought he might have done that against in game week 2, actually. Yeah, against Spurs. So I thought he might actually play Sancho at number 9 there, but he didn't. So I think he's still got the option to play, Sancho at number 9 and then Rashford on the left. So yeah, I mean, he has scored well playing up front before. But yeah, I just think he is not as good there. But at the same time, I mean, I look at that fixture at Forest at home, and I just think there's no way that I'm going to get rid of Bruno or Rashford. And I'm just honestly quite happy that people are getting rid of them, because it's a good fixture at the end of the day, and they're proven FPL assets. I mean, whether they score or not is quite irrelevant. I think taking them out for Nottingham Forest at home is a really, really risky move.
Do you not think though there's a slight merit in doing it, because although the immediate game is, again, looks very good and the predicted points are super high, after that, Arsenal away, Brighton at home, 2 tough fixtures.
Yeah, but then move them out in game week 4 or game week 5, not this week. But yeah, but just say you're in a position where you've not got Reece James and you've got a perfect team and you've got 2 free transfers and you've got nothing to use it on, then maybe I'd look at it. Then maybe to a Bruno, to a Foden, a transfer like that, like we were talking about earlier, when you've got nothing else to do, then it becomes tempting. But I think when you've got 2 free transfers or 1 free transfer and you've got other fires to put out, when you're taking out your United midfielders, I think that's a bad move, personally. I know they've been poor the first 2 games. I get it, but again, as you said, they should have scored against Spurs. Bruno missed and pretty much ahead from 6 yards out. And again, they're a proven team. They're proven FPL assets, and they're going to finish in the top 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's very likely. So they're a top 6 team, and they've got the Forest at home. So that's where I'm kind of viewing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we've seen it before. FPL does punish you. Patience is the name of the game. Although, I don't know, it may be slightly different this season, just because it does feel like instead of maybe trying to reshape our team and get players in, premiums in, and perhaps change the structure, it may be more a case of just jumping on players for a run of form. If we have all these players that are great prices anyway, that are just great players that we can kind of keep, it may be a case that this season, more than others, it's more a case of jumping on players for runs of 2 game weeks or whatever. I'm not sure about that, but we'll see how the season progresses. One player that I do want to get your thought on, well, I'll ask you it in this way. You've got Jackson in your team right now. If I could offer you the chance, doesn't cost a transfer, just in your team right now, to switch him to any other player in the game in that position, would you?
Yeah.
So that second striker role, if you could pick anyone, no, it doesn't cost a transfer, just in your team, who would you have?
Nobody. I'd keep Jackson.
You keep Jackson. Okay.
And the annoying thing is, Jack, is that I mean, it's a worst case. If you started with Jackson, it's a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
He's first 2 games, 1 pointers. All the Watkins owners, they're on 10 points, 2 assists. Even the Pedro owners, they're on 7 points. They're beating the Jackson owners. And now a lot of them are going to move on to Jackson, who's got a fantastic, probably the best fixture of the season this week for Chelsea. And then they've got a fantastic run. I mean, Jackson's been good. He's passed the eye test. His numbers are good as well. And I think he's going to score well over these next few weeks. And I'm quite annoyed that, I've not got any points from him so far, to be honest. And I think everyone who jumps on him now, will, and they've got those points banked as well from Pedro and Watkins. So yeah, I mean, Jackson would be going nowhere in my team.
So Wissa, Alvarez, keeping Watkins, you'd say it's better just to go on Jackson, just given the fixtures. He hasn't scored a goal yet.
Yeah, no, I'm still happy with him. I mean, if I had the Watkins and I've had an Alvarez or a Wissa, then a move to Jackson would be a different story. But having Jackson there already, I wouldn't touch him. I also think over the next 3 or 4 weeks, he is the best. For me, he's the best option out of those mentioned, out of Watkins, Alvarez, and Wissa. When you look at the fixtures, I know he hasn't scored yet, but I mean, the aim in FPL is to kind of jump on before they get the points, not after. And I just think his points are inevitable.
Fair enough. Now, the last player I want to ask you about in your team is your goalkeeper. I know that you're not going to make a transfer here. I just want to get your general thoughts on Pickford, whether you think now that might be a mistake, whether you are looking to perhaps rectify that in the future on wildcard, your thoughts on just Everton's defence in general and why it seems to be going so wrong there. Just chat to me about Pickford.
Yeah, I'm not too bothered. I mean, yeah, we kind of knew Everton were poor, but I just think the rotation was so good with Turner. It's the one thing that made me go for him. And for me, fixtures are always king. So I'm happy with Pickford and Turner rotation. I mean, hindsight is hindsight, isn't it? I mean, I guess obviously if I was asked to if I was to maybe pick a new keeper now, I'd probably go for Areola or Johnston. With 4 million starting keepers. But yeah, I'm not regretting that decision. I don't think it was a bad decision looking at the rotation. So yeah, and I'm happy, and I think again, Wolves this week is a great fixture, and the thing with goalkeepers as well, you don't necessarily need clean sheets to get a points haul or a good amount of points, average points over a few game weeks. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously so far it's not worked out that way for Pickford, but yeah, I just think that position is like such a lottery. I'm happy with my decision.
It's true. Just going to mention there, Areola sitting on 13 points, but he's conceded a few goals. So yeah. Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
obviously, penalty saves don't come around all the time, but there we go. So, looking to roll one of the free transfers this week. Game week 4 looks a little tougher. Gonna be really interesting to see what you do, especially with those midfielders next week. I feel like there could be a substitution coming in there, a transfer. The fixtures for both those double ups do toughen up a little bit, so I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on those slots in general moving forward. Saliba as well could come out the team for the player that you're bringing in for James this week, whoever that may be. But for now, that is your current thinking. And I like it. It makes sense. Very calm. We know you are one of the most patient managers out there. It's proved dividends over the years. Let's see if it does again moving into game week 3. Guys, thank you very much for watching this one. Once again, please do go ahead, get your own personalized recommended transfers down below. And see if they tempt you. They don't have to, of course, as Abdul said. One of the fun things is seeing if you can beat the robot and then comparing your eventual points to what the AI suggested. But it's food for thought nonetheless. Abdul, thank you very much for your tips and advice for the upcoming game week. Good luck. And we'll see you all next week for the next game week preview.
Thank you.